Love the flow. 69. Now it's time for new, believable people, and we must do it. If we don't control insiders, this will be over and over. To lead by an any big fat love, find common ground to halt the spread of lies, and we must do it big fat love, find common ground to halt the spread of lies, and any America first, America first, non-fatal. We want to build a much better, believable people, and we must do it non-fatal. Communication very much higher. America first. To lead by an any insiders fighting for insiders. Time to stop. Insiders fighting for insiders. More of insiders fighting for insiders. Time to stop. Insiders fighting for insiders. America first. Love the flow. 69. Now it's time for new, believable people, and we must do it. If we don't control insiders, this will be over and over. To lead by an any big fat love, find common ground to halt the spread of lies, and we must do it big fat love, find common ground to halt the spread of lies, and any America first, America first, non-fatal. We want to build a much better, believable people, and we must do it non-fatal. Communication very much higher. America first. To lead by an any insiders fighting for insiders. Time to stop. Insiders fighting for insiders. More of insiders fighting for insiders. Time to stop. Insiders fighting for insiders. America first. Love the flow.
What's up, folks? I'm starting to do these Sunday night streams almost semi-regularly. I didn't have a con this week, so I don't have to do a recap. Pardon me. I am going to be out of town next weekend in Clarksville, Tennessee, so I will have a recap next Sunday. Hopefully I'll be home at a reasonable hour, so I don't have to just hit it right off the road like I did last time. But if that's the case, that will be what happens, I guess. So, but today, I guess we did have a con here in Jacksonville. WasabiCon. I never go to that one. I went like 2 years and they sucked. I didn't like it. It wasn't very good for comics guys. It's like all that weeb stuff. It's like weeb hell. But if you're into that. So, Phoenix Animation was in town. And he actually drugged me to this place called Super Saiyan. It's a super noodle bar. That's Dragon Ball Z themed. So it was more of that weeb stuff. And there was a dude. I hope he was in cosplay. Let's just say I hope he was in cosplay from the convention. Salty might be my nickname, dude. That seems to be what's happening these days. Salty artist. They're calling me Salty. Yeah, it's yeah. So we went there. The food was good though. Food was good. So, but I as the title promises, I just have a couple things I want to talk about tonight. Just a couple things to get off my chest. A few things to vent about. One is the Dem exodus that we're noticing here, and then harassing women in comics. And it's not like what people think. Like people's like, these CG guys, they harass women. They're anti-women. No, these are women connected to Comicsgate creators, or they are in fact Comicsgate creators themselves that are being attacked by weirdos on Twitter. I've never been more glad in my life that my wife was not on Twitter right now until this whole thing gets sorted. But I got a video I want to EFAP. I'm gonna do my first EFAP video. So let's see how that goes, guys. But because I think I'll switch it up and call you the name of your childhood hero. Salty. Very good, man. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's very nice. Good job on that one. So yeah, I'm going to EFAP my first video. This is from Fox and Friends. Well, you guys will see here in a second. So there's been a mass exodus of, I don't want to say mass, I mean, but it's becoming a mass exodus. I'll pull up the list of celebrities that are leaving California. There are quite a few. There's 7 of them that I know of so far, and we'll go over them. We'll go over them here in a moment. Well, actually, I'll go over them now. So, apparently, there are people leaving California saying that they're looking for a better place for their kids to live. They want a brighter future for their kids, which is kind of an odd statement to be made by some of these celebrities that are out there. You see, now I used to be a member of the Democratic Party. I don't know if you know that or not. Used to be, a long time ago. Actually, not that long ago. I left the Democratic Party before Trump. I think, yeah, maybe right before, right after Trump. I did vote for the orange guy, because I couldn't vote for Hillary. She's terrible. Like, what her and Bill did to the Haitian people was just absolutely unheard of. The fact that those two aren't spending the rest of their lives in prison. It's a travesty, really. So yeah, I was a Democrat for a while, at least liberal leaning, and then the goalpost got moved. You know, the slider got moved, and so I wound up just leaving party affiliation altogether, become an independent. Which I don't really talk comics. I don't talk politics too often, but tonight this is something that is creeping over into every aspect of entertainment. And that's why I kind of want to bring it up. I want to bring up what's happening in Hollywood, because we're going to see it, and we've already seen it happening in comics, which is where you get these fringe groups at, which is why there's a Gamergate and Comicsgate, things like that, because this stuff started happening already. Yeah, I did. I got tired of it, man. It was rough. It was just a hard time. But, so I want to bring up this whole, like, what's happening right now in kind of the political spectrum, and how it's affecting entertainment, and how we're starting to see I don't know the words to describe this. It's when an animal is dying, it has this last minute push, this just like Hail Mary of a moment that it tries to kind of fight past and maybe have some kind of hope before it dies. And I think we're seeing some of that happen. So maybe I'm wrong. So anyway, there's 7 celebrities that have decided to leave California. Joe Rogan is in that mix. We got Joe Rogan. We got Rosario Dawson, which is pretty well known. Busy Phillips, who I'm somewhat familiar with, but not super familiar with a lot of her work. So here's a couple of quotes I found. I'll read these up. Let me just share this article. So I want to kind of put my money where my mouth is on these things. I don't want to give references and it not be. You guys are like, well, you don't share your references. Yes, yeah, here they are. So this is KTLA 75, so Los Angeles newspaper article. So this is 7 celebrities who have fled California and why. So I guess most recently Mark Wahlberg has left, and he left for quote unquote a better life for his children. And then, stink. Didn't mean to do that. And we got Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan says, quote, I want to go somewhere in the center of the country, somewhere you have a little more freedom. I think where we live right here in Los Angeles is a little overcrowded. I think it's exposing the fact that it's a real issue when you look at the number of people that are catching COVID because of the overpopulation issue. And then he continues to say, when you look at the traffic, the economic disparity, the homelessness problem, I think there are too many people, Joe said on his podcast. So that was Joe's. Then we got Rosario Dawson. You guys are going to be familiar with her face. Very nice face. Very famous face. She says, I'm moving in with my boyfriend because it's time. We were thinking about moving in together. Anyway, this was in 2020. So they were moving in together anyway. So she's left. Busy Phillips. You might recognize her face. She's done a few things. I don't know one effing person in Los Angeles who doesn't have an irritable bowel syndrome. It's why we all give up gluten and wheat. But maybe it's the toxicity of the city. I don't know. Just a theory. She says we have got to get clean air. We've got to get clean air right there. So, let's go ahead and read Mo's comments. Busy Phillips was good in Freaks and Geeks, yes. Also, performance of Women Who Think Abortion is the best thing to ever happen. Yeah. Yeah, she was pretty great in that one. Before Florida and Texas were sending their illegal immigrants to New York City and D.C., New York and New Jersey were sending their homeless to California. They really were. And you just shuffle them around. LA's here. What's up, buddy? Nice to have you. What up? Andrew Wyatt, welcome. What's up, Ed? So let me get back to this. Another celebrity recently is Rob Schneider. And we're going to listen to Rob Schneider. I'm EFAPing him. Chris Hemsworth left. And his quote is, we were in LA for 6 or 7 years. Let me highlight that. We were in LA for 6 or 7 years. Then we got the opportunity not to be there full time. It was good to be back in Australia. So he didn't want to be there. He's just saying it's good to be back in Australia. You've got Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, probably two of the most beautiful people on the planet. And doesn't give a reason why, but they definitely left. So we've got that. That's what's happening. Those are 7 celebrities that have left LA, left California. And here's Rob Schneider. We're gonna EFAP this. So I'm gonna just pop this up here and him, nice one. Hemsworth left California, the state, for California, the country. Yeah, pretty much. So now I've been saying some stuff about the Democratic Party for a long time. I think that they are out of touch. They're not what they used to be. They've been taken over by radicals. They have now created a hive mind that you have to be a part of, and if you disagree, they try to cancel you. Free thinking, independent thinking is not welcome, and any viewpoint outside of the identity is not like it's one of us kind of thing. One of us. It's crazy. But what's happening is these agendas that they have are clear, and they're being pushed into every aspect of our lives. It is governmental overreach like nothing I've ever seen. And I used to think this about the Republican Party, that they would, have it was too much government, which is why I was a Democrat. I was kind of anti-government. And I guess I'm squarely a libertarian, and let's hear from our favorite libertarian, Ron Swanson. He has some things about liars.
There's only one thing I hate more than lying. Skim milk, which is water that's lying about being milk. I know more than you.
All right.
So, for those that are going to watch this back later and complain about me, I'm just going to keep playing that clip on loop for them. So let's go ahead and start this video, and I'll just stop and talk about it as we go.
Well, just hours after quitting the Democratic Party, Tulsi Gabbard also revealing what her appearances on some media outlets has cost her.
It ranges from people kind of like giving you a cynical look, like whose side are you really on, to people just outright ending that friendship or that professional relationship because they don't want to have anything to do with you.
Maybe our next guest can relate to this. Actor and comedian Rob Schneider joins us right here. How are you?
So, let me say this. Two and a half years ago or so, I made a declaration on Twitter that I was tired of people saying things that were untrue about friends and colleagues that I had in the comics industry. I had worked with several non-hashtagged creators, and many of them that I was working closely with were just not good people. Okay? Even the ones that are out there right now trying to pretend like they're good people, I would hear them say and watch them do some very scrupulous things. That just, when people are saying I'm a pastor or I'm a Christian and behaving this way, it's just real ugly behavior. And I did not care for it at all. So after spending some time around these people that are supposed to be good, decent people, right? And I won't name names, but I will say it's people that I don't associate with anymore. I'll say that. So if you look in, 3 years ago, look at my friends list and who Luke was tagging, and you see who Luke's tagging now, there you go. All right? You can do the research, do it on your own. The people that I'm talking about secretly think that I'm talking about them. Well, let me tell you, I'm definitely talking about you. Yes, you. The one watching right now that thinks, is Luke talking about me? Is he trying to say that I'm a terrible person and that he went Comicsgate because of me? Yes, that's exactly who I'm talking to. I'm talking to you, my man. All right, so anyway, I decided I was tired of these people kind of acting, behaving this way, and I thought, look, if I'm going to get I'd rather know who my enemies are. And these people are just ripping each other apart behind each other's back. I was at an event and wound up going out to dinner with a few people, and there were some nice people in the group, and some people that I respect, but tend to walk a neutral line because they don't want to offend anybody. And then after they left, I got to see some viciousness like that was present in indie comics that I didn't care for. And so I had been working with and had fans that were, and had friends that were Comicsgate. So I talked with Anthony Figueroa, and I said, hey, I think I'm just going to make the plunge, man. And kind of talked it through with him. It took several days for me to talk this through. And it was my decision and my decision only. But at the time I was doing a thing with Terraform Comics. And I did go to the group and I said, hey, this is what I think I'm going to do. And they asked, well, why do you think you need to plant the flag? And I told them the stories about the people that I sat down with. And I said, I feel like I'm going to do this eventually. And I feel like right now is probably the best time to do that, before the business gets too in-depth, and that kind of thing. So I made a declaration on Twitter that, people have been wondering whether or not I was this hashtag CG guy. And it turns out that, I am, but I'm not the bigot and I'm not the racist or the misogynist that people think that are associated with that. I had built a reputation of being a kind and loving and respectable person. And I wanted to show that was the kind of people that I was connected with, that took the moniker, that we were professional and a diverse group, diverse in every aspect, primarily in thought, diverse in thought really, as well as the other aspects. And so when I did that, I had my editor leave me, but yet still edited other books that were Comicsgate. But for some reason, my declaration made a bigger deal. Real jerk move, in my opinion. Was a little salty about it. Might be still a little salty about it. We talked about it at one point. I don't care that they know that I'm a little upset by it. I mean, he did decent work. If you need to hire an editor, feel free. I'm not trying to, discourage people from working with him. But he wouldn't work with me because I was CG at that point. I thought we had a great working relationship. And then a couple other people, there's one guy's like, oh, I didn't know you were a bigot. Oh, I didn't know you were this. I'm like, you've known me for a long time. How would you ever think that I was that, right? So I understand where they're coming from. Oh, you leave the Democratic Party and you're this. Just because there's a lot of misinformation out there about people. If you're not a Democrat, then you're a bigot. Basically, that's what they're trying to tell you. That if you're not in a total agreement with everything we do, then you are a bad guy. And so that is kind of already there. So let's get back to more of this.
How are you? Great to see you, Rob.
Yeah.
Finally have you on the couch.
Thank you. It's
You used
good
to
to
walk
be.
right across
yeah.
the street. What's your reaction to Tulsi Gabbard doing what she did yesterday?
It shouldn't be such a shock. We don't get 10 parties. You get 2,
Right.
And I really feel I don't want the Democratic Party trying to run my life. And there's not one aspect of your life that they don't want to interfere with. So I had it with them. So.
Okay. So he's just saying what we already know. We all already know this, that Democratic Party, they want to control everything. Now, the same could be said about some of the old Republican Party, where they try to legislate sexuality and what happens in the bedroom and those kind of things, right, but not to the extent that modern Dems are doing right now. It's just I haven't seen anything like this before. Andrew White says, ideas can't evolve if we can't discuss them. If the idea is to help people and protect people, seems these are universal ideas, and they should be, maybe. They say things like liberals just want to help everybody. Who could be against that? Well, we'll get into it, and then Andrew has more to say. Republicans see how these systems work, and we know these things are not sustainable. That is very true, I think. But again, I'm an independent. I'm a libertarian, and but this is why I left the Democratic Party. But yeah, so yeah, they want to control every aspect of our lives.
I got out of California. I moved to the slightly freer state of Arizona.
Slightly. Your journey is similar, though. You were a Democrat, and then
you have to be in San Francisco.
Of course. So,
It's a given.
Yeah.
what was it that changed your point of view?
Well, I mean, literally, there wasn't. I mean, taxes. there wasn't one part of.
So I like that he jokes about taxes, and but yeah, he's like that he was a Democrat because you have to be there, and he gets into this more like why you have to be, and I feel like that's almost the case right now in comics. Like if you're going to work mainstream comics or if you're going to be accepted in comics, you've got to be Democrat. You can't be conservative. You've got to think this way. Thanks, Nick, for being here. Nick is my favorite liberal friend, and a reasonable liberal, and classic liberal. Tribalism is escape from personal accountability via whataboutism. Both extremes pointing at the other, while developing cults of personality within the organization. And I think that's true to an extent, but I think there's something a little more nefarious going on. And I mean, I don't want to be like that weird, goofy Christian tonight talking about this, but I think there's some occultism that's happening in this. I think that there are some nefarious spiritual things at play within this, but that yes, Schneider, yeah, it auto-corrected me on that too. Schneider does work for Happy Madison. Sandler is a Republican. You're about to find out. He kind of outs a few people here in this video. So let's keep watching.
Business. I mean, Newsom pushed me over the edge.
Right.
I mean, it's just like I just don't think your life gets better there. It gets worse. I mean, you know what it was? It was like there was in San Francisco. They said you had to remove. I was living in San Francisco. I had it made there. It's on the cable car and everything. I had a rooftop. This is the place where I'm going to live forever. And they said you have to have the toilets removed from your house. And I said, what? What? I don't have toilets in front of my house. It was flower pots.
Right.
They made me remove all the flower pots. So it just got crazier and crazier. And maybe I'm looking at this all wrong.
So, yeah. So he said your life doesn't get better with this stuff, that it gets worse. And I think that's what we're starting to see, is that in cities where unchecked current liberal policies, please don't mistake in classic liberalism or liberals of the 90s with what we're seeing right now. This is not the same thing. The classic Democrat, this is not the same thing at all. This is some radical ideology that has creeped in to our society. And like I said, I feel like there's something more nefarious below the surface with it. I really do. But we see like places in, like Detroit, classically liberal, and the struggles that they have there. We see the crap with New York. We see things in California are getting worse. Liberal cities, just all kinds of issues with these places, and homelessness exploding and all that kind of stuff. And I like what Rob says here. It's kind of funny. I'm going to back it up just a little bit so you guys can hear this in its full. Let's go ahead and read Mo's comments here. I think if he wanted to use toilets as flower pots, he should be allowed to. FDHOA. Right? Yeah. But no, they weren't toilets. They were just flower pots. But they call them toilets. But I can see how in San Francisco saying toilets on his lawn should be confusing to the people taking a dump in the street. I I think they called them toilets because they were saying that the homeless people were going to use them as toilets. So you needed to remove them so that the homeless people wouldn't use them as toilets. And, evil certainly walks in the halls of power in both parties. Yeah, I'll be honest. Here's my thing about that, Nick, before we go on, is I actually think that the wickedness that exists on Capitol Hill, they both want the same thing, the same result. They're just trying to achieve their power through manipulation of people through a two-party system. We need to break free from the two-party system. But that's what I believe. I believe they manipulate us to keep them into office for as long as they have been. The office of president is only allowed 2 4-year terms, 8 total years. But yet, to be on the Senate or the House of Representatives, you can become a lifelong member of these well past retirement age. You can sit in one of these positions of power. And I believe that needs to change. I believe until we do that, it won't. And I think it was Nick, maybe, or somebody else I talked with, or heard on stream. Someone had mentioned, this was not my idea, so somebody else's. I wish I could give proper credit for it. But they said, we should make it like jury duty, that you have to serve your 4-year term in the House of Representatives or in Congress, and that it wasn't like you didn't get paid for it, you just had to go serve your 4 years, that you had to do it in connection with whatever you were normally doing. You still had to work, you still had to go about your life, but it was like a part-time job. You could do your other job part-time and do that, because that's how it originally was. Like, you weren't paid these huge wages to do it. This government, this country, would see far less debt if we would just strip these thieves of the money they've stolen from Americans. I mean, just strip them down. But anyway, I digress. Back to Rob.
Toilets removed from your house. And I said, what? What? I don't have toilets in front of my house. It was flower pots.
Right.
They made me remove all the flower pots. So it just got crazier and crazier. And maybe I'm looking at this all wrong. San Francisco either has a huge homeless problem or a gigantic camping success story.
Leave it up to Rob to turn that into a pretty funny joke, actually. So let's continue.
You have to look at both
What
ways.
made you want to be so bold and so vocal about it? Because Tulsi said, if you don't agree with the Democratic Party, you're trashed, you're canceled.
Yes. So absolutely. She's right.
Do you worry about that, getting jobs?
Yes, of course you are. Yeah. As an actor, you're always coming from a place of trying to get work. But at a certain point, you have to worry about, I'm in my 50s now, late 50s. It's going to catch you too, Brian. But, no, yeah, I worry more about, the freedoms of my kids.
Yeah.
I'm a grandfather now.
Right.
And
So here he is talking about wanting, are you afraid you're not going to get work? It's like, of course. As an actor, you're always trying to get work. It's like as an artist or a writer, you're always trying to get work. You're trying to take care of your kids and create a legacy or a living for them. Now, he changes gears and he's like, now I'm thinking about the freedoms for my kids and my grandkids. And I think at some point we have to weigh one of those against the others, right? Well, I have to toe the line. I have to play nice so that I can make a living to provide for my kids, right? But at some point you have to think about what towing the line, playing along, singing the song leaves for your kids when you go. And what I'm noticing here with what Rob is saying, a lot of wisdom in this from this comedian, this "you can do it" guy, right? This guy, that guy, the making copies guy. A lot of wisdom, actually, in the nuance of what he's saying here. Very interesting, because you have to think about at what point which one will outweigh the other. How you can provide for your kids now versus what you leave them. And if what you can leave them is reasonably the same, then why not play along? And I think that's what a lot of people have done for a long time. Reasonably didn't really matter if it was Republican or Democrat. They take turns winning. One side, then the next side, whatever. You get 4 to 8 years of this one, then the next group gets their turn. And then vice versa. It just happens. And it didn't used to make a big deal. But now they've gotten it to where it's like we're getting into this fever pitch where it's almost going to be a civil war if it hasn't already been one. And there certainly is a culture war that's been going on. And I know as much as a lot of people out there don't want to say the phrase culture war, or admit to it, we are in the midst of one. We've been losing it for a long time. We blame the boomers, but I actually kind of blame my generation, Gen X, on this one. Because we just kind of said, well, it's not my business, it's not my fight, I'm not going to do anything about it. Let live and let live. But really some things they snuck in on us. And people that really did want to change the way our kids think and the way our society operates got in and got into power and have influenced people in a very negative way for a very long time. Rob gets ready to say something here in a moment that just echoes that. And so I want to, I'm just kind of preemptively talking about that, just so that you kind of see what I'm saying. And I promise I'm tying this all around to my second half of this harassment of women in the comics industry right now. And not from like this fringe group Comicsgate to the mainstream, which is where they try to say that came from. Now, criticism is different than harassment. Those are two different things. Okay? So let's keep that in mind. Let me get to a couple of these comments. Nick is commenting a lot. I'm going to try to... and yes, the jury style representative is one of mine. That was Nick. Okay. Nick Talker's idea. Good idea. I'm fully behind it. Yes, I live in a town made up of mostly farmland that tries to ban chickens and maintain grass lengths. Yeah, how ridiculous is that? Whenever an actor speaks, even when I agree, I wonder who spoke the other lines. Yeah, it can be difficult to know who's telling the truth. Rob seems very genuine in this, by the way. So let's go ahead and continue.
So, I mean, I do at a certain point, you have to put, like, it's really weird. Well, something's wrong when people say, like, if you put God and family and country first, that's somehow controversial.
Right.
How is that controversial?
Or a flag is triggering.
Yeah, so
right.
I think at a certain point you have to say...
Yeah, okay. So that was what I wanted to highlight a little bit, too. For a very long time, it was God, family, country. And that was just universally accepted as an American. That's how it was, right? And now that's controversial. The fact that you would dare put God above country and family. And I said it in that order intentionally because these people, like the new religion is politics, and the new gods are politicians. People worship their political parties, and they worship the men and women that tell them what to think. Their theology is whatever talking points that party has adopted at that moment. And they are radicalized in their religion. It's just like those folks at that weirdo Baptist church that we know, like, those aren't real Christians. They're crazy. They're radicalized by some crazy guy in the pulpit, and they're a problem, right? And we used to be able to point our finger to that and say, no, that's not normal. It's not normal behavior. It's crazy. And now you can't say that anymore. Well, you can on one side. Now they're pointing the finger to anybody that doesn't believe in this radical left kind of ideology as being, well, what's wrong with you? Like, yeah, and I'm going to send a warning out to you, Nick, and anybody out there that is in my friend group that tends to be somewhat moderate politically or tolerant of other views politically. You are soon going to be labeled crazy, off the mark, somehow corrupted by the people that you hang out with, if you don't build a wall and draw a line and declare as some sort of anti about them, those people in your lives. I promise you. If you don't 100% agree, it's coming. It's coming. Just how it is. But the that idea that it's radical to think about putting God first in family and then country and those kind of things, where politics was important to people, but it didn't break up families, it didn't get people fired, it didn't destroy communities. There was like, hey, we got to have sheepdogs and we got to have shepherds and we've got to protect and our wives and our children, and we've got to do what's right. We've got to be good to our neighbors, and the reason why we disagree politically is because we're both trying to do what's right for our neighbor. And now I do not believe that these policies is what's right for our neighbor. You're hearing Rob say it. You're hearing other people in Hollywood say it. You're hearing other people in the world say it. That these policies are not helping. They're not making life better. They're making life worse. A better life for my kids is leaving a place like LA, not living in it forever, which is, I think, speaks a lot. And maybe I'm just ranting. What do I know? I'm a salty artist. But it's my opinion. And it's my YouTube channel, so I can give that all day long. So you have been by both sides. Yeah, you're probably gonna at some point. Wherever someone's radical, that's how you know who the radicals are. And sadly, the radicals are starting to stack up more on one side than they are the other. These days anyway. Let's watch some more.
Enough of this and stand up to it.
Did you lose friends?
I would say people that don't return my calls as often. But to be honest with you, a lot of people that I'm friends with in Hollywood, they lean towards the right, but like they're just scared of it because it really is like a mob of ideologues that just that you feel they will attack you, and it's really not necessarily based in anything but like this almost like a religious architecture in their thinking.
So when it comes,
he admits it, that there's this, these ideologues that are out there that, that you can be. There's a lot of conservatives there that are afraid to be vocal about it or even be open about their belief system because of this. And he referred to it as almost like a religious thing. And so, this is stuff I've been saying for the last at least 2, if not 4 years, about that politics is a new religion and that the new gods are these party leaders. I was upset when I saw it happening with Trump in the church, that Christians were like, Trump is God's man, and they were putting a lot of emphasis on Trump as a savior figure, and it was just so wrong. I didn't care for it, and I started noticing it back then, and I pointed it out. And here it is. This is being reiterated by, a Hollywood guy, right now. That this is the stuff that's happening. This is what people see. And now, this is just in Hollywood. Hollywood's a little slow on the uptake, okay? This has been happening in other realms already for quite a while. So I mean, it's we're seeing it play out in a different way in different areas. Nick says I'm attacked for associating with me. He's attacked for associating with me, and attacked by others for associating with pagans and the lost. And well, here's what I think. I think Jesus hung out with the lost, and I like to hang out with people that Jesus would have hung out with. I mean, I'm not gonna like go do pagan stuff with pagans, but I'm going to love some pagans and try to be friends with them because I want them to know Jesus. I mean, ultimately, that's my goal, is I want them to know Jesus. So, I mean, the only way they're going to get to know him is if I'm a little g, God representation to them. You know, if they can see Jesus through me. But it was said, to paraphrase, do the doctors go tend to the well? Exactly. Jody, I'm going to read your comment, and hopefully it's on target with where we're at. If not, you're going to hate me. It's how it is. Again, how do you stop people from following tradition? Looking at what some would say biblically is too many people following after traditions. Their father's father. Most people don't get they follow things due to tradition, though. Even radical ideals are typically from forgotten tradition. You know what? That's well, it's baloney, Joe. It's baloney. Some traditions are good, but radical traditions, those are usually very easily identified and removed. Unless there's some direct, I can't think of any radical tradition. And here's the problem. I mean, even, let's use Christianity as an example. Jesus said that people will think that you're radical just for the way you love people, just how you serve me. They will think you're radical, right? So what you might think is radical, someone else might think is perfectly reasonable, right? But the truth is, within a common kind of community like what we have, we can usually agree on what is somewhat acceptable. We know it's radical to throw people that are homosexuals off of a roof. We know that because we're a civilized society, right? And yeah, Luke, you're trying to say that Muslim societies aren't civilized. Well, they believe it's perfectly acceptable to throw a person off of the roof based on their sexuality. Christianity, the Bible does not teach that. It teaches something completely different. It says, love thy neighbor. In fact, I was just talking about this. My friend Krishna, my friend Kami Mark is doing a book called Krishna Kid. And he actually joked and mused about the idea that it's a lot like the Jesus character, but with more fighting. And he made a point to mention that Jesus did very little fighting. It was not aggressive at all. And that is our standard. That is, I think, that is the best standard that we can have and should have, is Jesus. And if Jesus says to love your neighbor, and if he says to love your enemy as yourself, then these are the things that we should be doing, right? That's my viewpoint. And the viewpoint of many people that came before me and that will come after me, hopefully. So to think that radical tradition, I mean, I kind of see where you're coming from, but at the same time, I'm like, it's not the same, man. It's what we're talking about here with radical left and radical right. Those aren't age-old tradition. I mean, that's not a religion that's been around for 2,000 years. That's not, like, we're talking about what's happening right now in our culture, being radical between this ideology of this militant way of of making everyone think the way they think, trying to make everyone behave the way they want them to behave, that people are afraid to admit that they're conservatives. It didn't used to matter who you voted for. It's like, oh yeah, that guy, whatever, he voted for whoever. It didn't used to matter, but now it matters. Now if you vote for the wrong person, you could lose your job. Now if you vote for the wrong person, or you're outspoken politically, it can keep you from getting a job. Even if you're a perfectly reasonable person and you have a Christian value in our country, it could cause you financial hardship. Someone who owned a bakery, who was a Christian, refused service to somebody based on their Christian moral beliefs, and our government told him, look, you have to bake the cakes. It didn't used to be that way. And who would want somebody baking a cake for someone that they don't want to bake the cake for them? I don't get that either. That idea. I mean, this is radical things where people are going to sue someone over not making a cake. It started there, and it's just escalated, and now it's to the point to where pedophilia is obviously wrong. And there are people that now they don't want it to be called pedophilia. Now it's got some kind of name. It's got a name now, guys. That's not this negative. No, it's differently attracted or something like that. They want to make it to where it's a sexual orientation, that it's part of the alphabet instead of being looked on as what it is, as gross, as deviant, as wrong. We're getting to the point in our world where you can't look at something that's it's weird or wrong or off and say it. Now it's like, no, you can't say anything. I was dealing with this just the other day. We're in the store and I'm like, wow, that's really strange. Saw someone and the way they were made up was very strange. And I was informed that, I'm not allowed to think like that. I'm like, look, nobody can tell me how to think. I'm allowed to have my free thought. But people are now wanting to even address the way people think. You know what? You can agree or disagree with me, Joe. I don't care. You can also find another stream to watch. I don't care about that either. It doesn't hurt me either way. But I want to get back to this.
It's a changing party. To quote one of your characters, you can do it.
You can do it. You have to go with what feels right for you. We get 2 parties. We don't get 10.
Sure.
And I want to, have a party that represents my core values.
And you were talking a moment ago about your family. So you've got this brand new movie out.
Okay. So he mentions that we have 2 parties and not 10. Now in other governmental systems, there are multiple parties. And that way you can find parties that represent your core values. And so now, like I said, I used to be a Democrat. I know those core values that I used to have are no longer shared by the Democratic Party, somewhat by the Republican Party, but not in its entirety. So there is that issue now. That you have to share all of my values. They want to fight about it. You have to share all the values. You have to, you have to think like I do. And they want to fight over whether or not you think like they do and those kind of things. It's we all just want to be able to kind of align with what we think is best for our family within the freedoms of the United States, the way it is. Like, it's supposed to be free here. You're supposed to be free of thought, diverse in thought, free to worship and love the way that you want to, free to work the way that you want to. That freedom, just a tremendous freedom that so many people have died for. but it's breaking it into it's breaking into entertainment in a negative way. The political climate and the what I believe, propaganda maybe. But anyway, it's created an environment that's unsafe. And I hate to say that. I use that term because unsafe sounds stupid. But it is it's ugly. And it's created an environment that's just flat out ugly. And so this is happening right now in the world, that you can't disagree, with the way I think, or else you're a bigot or a misogynist or insert whatever it is, whatever ist or phobe you are, just because you disagree, and that's why I was like, hey, you don't have to agree with me. Don't. You don't have to, you don't have to. I'm not asking you to agree with me. I'm giving my opinion in a public forum. Jesus commands us to love one another, despite their flaws. We're also to a degree point out of where they can be wrong. I don't know about that. But we're also told that the other person must make the choice to change from what's wrong. See, here's the thing. Here's what I get upset with, guys. I hate it when people use the Bible as a method or tool for personal argument. I'm a pastor. I've gone to seminary. I don't do that. It's not what I do. So I'm not bringing up scripture here to you guys, because I'm not trying to manipulate your viewpoint at all. When it comes to that, I'm trying to draw a parallel between this exodus of the Democratic Party, people that are leaving the Democratic Party, why they're leaving it, and to where we're going, like where things are happening and what's happening right now this week. So what's happening this week is this. There are Christians and women in comic books that are being harassed relentlessly. That's the word I'm looking for. Relentlessly. By people who think they're doing good, who want to pretend like they're doing good. Now, these people have antis in their name. And let me, I'm just going to pull up a couple of, this person is Anti-Christian Murphy. Has been going at Piper Steed, my editor and co-creator with Rift Writers, and has been going after someone named Shelley Lepresti, who is a beautiful Christian woman, very kind, very sympathetic towards others, and others. They've been blocking all of the male attention that they've been getting, and they continuously use the hashtag that Comicsgate is a hate group. But yet, for the last 2 days, I've watched these people and several others go on a crusade under various different alts to keep attacking and harassing these women, retweeting them, quote tweeting them, and doing all of this stuff. But yet the narrative is that this group that they're a part of is the hate group, that they're the ones that are the misogynists and the bigots and the racists and the phobes and the ists. Speaking to whoever. Okay. So, Blue Samurai says, just got here. I think I need context for the bigot phobe comments. When people want to cross-reference two random passages like that, first thing to do is look at the context of each, including audience, etc., to get each meaning before trying to relate. And that's why I said I wasn't trying to do that one. I'm not planning on doing that. Marsupial says, I've noticed When a man responds, they just block us. Exactly. And so men are responding saying, look, back off these women. And these are men that are actually, they're going after the wives of women in comics that are connected to this Comicsgate group. And they're justifying it by saying, oh, well, I don't like EVS. And that's the thing. They don't like EVS. I'll be honest with you. A lot of people don't like EVS. And I don't care if you like him or don't like him. That's not my battle. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. What I care about is wanting to make comics and provide for my family while adhering to my core values. And that's what I want to do. That's my target. That's my goal, is to make comics, take care of my family while adhering to my core values. In the process of doing this, I want to share my faith with people who really want to hear it. I don't want to have political arguments. I don't want to have stupid debates over things that don't matter. Like I'm kind of over that in my life. I didn't almost die to come back and deal with that. Like that's not what I'm here to do. I feel like the Bible's pretty clear on things, like that you don't have to, be so cryptic about it. We don't have to rewrite what sin is. I think we know what sin is. I think a lot of people have known what sin is for a long time. I think you know what sin is when you're doing sin. Let me put it that way. I think we know what sin is when we're doing it. We know it's like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. We know we should be doing it. But so I can't see these tweets anymore, or I would just share it, but you just see just blocked, just tons of tweets where it's just blocked. So I actually, because I don't do alt accounts, guys. I don't know many people that do sock accounts. All the people I know, we don't do that. But what's happening is they're going after these women. They've actually attacked people's wives. They're going after people's wives. They're bringing up people's kids. They're talking about them in, they've now created fake subreddits, and they're making claims in subreddits. Oh, Comicsgate's doing this, or these people are doing that. Well, I don't know everybody that's in that subgroup, but I'll be honest with you. I know a lot of people that's in that group. I mean, I know a lot of people, and none of them know about this Reddit where people are talking about, going after people. I know like 3 people that have been on Kiwi farms. Honestly, that's it. That's about all I know. Most people aren't really going there and doing that stuff. And here's the thing, you can say it, then show receipts. If you say you've got proof, give proof. Tell me I'm wrong. Prove to me that I'm wrong. But right now, all I see is people that are politically charged because of this whole, Dem thinking, right? The Democratic way of thinking. What I'm seeing is those people that are starting to affect people in Hollywood, where they're starting to leave, and people are starting to leave the Democratic Party. That ideology has creeped into comics, and is, as much as they want to try to say that these conservative fanboys are a hate group, all I'm seeing is negativity come from people who claim to be the good guys. I see Marcel Dupree, for 2 years, was attacked by a creator that we both know mutually because he did not fulfill on a campaign that he was supposed to fulfill on. For 2 years, took the beating, came onto one of my shows on this channel, and even tried to talk about it. And I asked, hey, what about this book? And he said, I'm working on it. I'm doing my best. I made a lot of mistakes. He admitted to it. He manned up about it, right? The book went out. The book finally went out. That creator that blasted him for 2 years gets blasted in one comment, gets blasted, and then blocks him. Well, where's this guy? This guy always virtue signaling. People virtue signal all the time. They always pretend to be the good guys. They're always pretending that hey, I've got the moral high ground. They always use morality as the place of moral high ground. They always do that. But all I'm seeing is actual evidence of people getting. Let me see if I can just go to Twitter and look at it incognito. I know they say that that's a thing that you can do. Let's see. Maybe that happens. Let's see if I can look at. And what I want to do is I want to look at Piper's and Shelley's. So Shelley actually was in a. I apparently still have a Red Door Records. Maybe I can look at it from here. Let me search from there. I used to have a record label. I don't know if you guys knew that. I barely know that. I used to have a record label called Red Door Records, and we no longer have that, but I'm still logged in on my computer. Well, on my on this browser I am anyway. That's how often I use this browser. I use it only for I want to try to pull up the thread because it started on Shelley's yeah, here we go. I'll pull this up. Here, guys, watch this, because I want to show the receipts that people are talking about. This is what I'm seeing, and it's starting to bother me a lot. It's unhealthy. It's unhealthy, guys. What's happening out there? I'm so glad that my wife is not on Twitter right now, so that she doesn't have to deal with that. So here is a guy this is the guy that's been just non-stop harassing. I've been blocked. So again, talking about Shelley. Yeah, just some unhinged stuff. Saying this guy is unhinged. He really is. He has. Let's just go to his profile. Let's just look at this guy's profile. What this guy's been up to. He was anti-Christian Murphy until just a little bit ago, but I know that somebody, can't remember who, but somebody attacked this guy. Not attacked, but reported this guy. Actually, this might be. So here he is, like he's just going after Dean James is a great guy, a great artist, working on this book called Embrace 2. Just working on this, just a super nice guy. I'm Joe, I'm glad we agree on this. And I'm not upset if you disagree with me. That's fine. And I would love to have a conversation with you about it. Just this isn't quite the forum for that, unfortunately. But Joe, I totally respect the work that you do and you know your craft. I really do. So kudos to you. Keep going. Eric Hawkins, nice seeing you tonight. Wise Guys is here. What's going on? So this guy, Dean James, just a super nice guy, working on this book. Just sharing a post. You know, talk about heaps of extras. You know, and this guy, if you want to block, like he's out of his mind, right? And I'm blocked from some of these people. Still looks like I can't even see that. Let me see, who else is he? Some other names that I'm familiar with. Just because people don't like She-Hulk, they're upset about that. So he's saying it's on fire. So here's a guy who doesn't like Eric July. Eric July has created a comic book. I'm not a fan of the book. I mean, I'm a fan of Eric. I like Eric. I didn't think the book was great. But so here's someone where they're saying that how do I do that? All right. where it says that the channel, written by a black guy, right? Why do all the characters read like low-class hood movie stereotypes? If it's not right-wing propaganda or whatever. And they call him an Uncle Tom. So having looked at it now, yeah, this says it best. So they basically they've pirated it and put it on 4channel. So if they're saying that CG's working from Kiwi Farms, these guys, these weirdos, are working from 4channel. But I've been watching them just go after this guy particularly. But he's got an alt. He's got another alt that he's been using. So we're gonna Shelly's been getting harassed relentlessly. So here's where someone's noticed that he got banned and created another alt account. We just keep seeing this. This keeps happening. Let me. The one I really want to bring up, it was. And man, hopefully I don't have to scroll too far to see it, but Shelly's pretty active on Twitter. So here's somebody that's going after him about the Wraith character. No, this was just a few days ago. Where's that at? Shelly did this post, just excited about her daughter's success with college. Something very good happened. Oh gosh, maybe you guys can help me out with that. I can't seem to find it. I'm just flipping through here and making you guys sick. I really do apologize about that. Yeah, so her daughter, she was just celebrating something about her daughter. Non-related post. Not even about comic books. And this guy just comes at her. Here it is. Great post. A call from my girl always lifts my spirits. She was so excited to tell me the guest choreographer at her college had auditions tonight, and she made it and is the soloist. So very cool. I cannot wait to see her dance again. All right, very cool, right? Very cool. And here comes this guy. Tell your flabbly emperor he's late for class. Late, tardy, failure. Parent-teacher conference or whatever. Yeah, and just, like, are you serious? And so, yeah, this guy goes on for multiple tweets going at Shelly and harassing her. And just because he's got some kind of a vendetta or some kind of, I think maybe he's one of Ethan's ex-girlfriends or something, getting upset. Let me go to Piper. I'm going to my girl Piper's. There we go. Man, I'm so glad I was logged in here. I was wondering how I was going to be able to show you guys these tweets. And what? Because I want you guys to get a sense of what I'm talking about here. That this is just targeted harassment. That you can see most of the tweets that these people make are just congratulating people. Our friend Mark got funded tonight. He had a pretty high, solid funding goal that he had to hit for his book. And so he's doing it. Now, Mark, he goes by Commie Mark. That's a joke, guys. Like, people don't understand the satire. He's hilarious, but he's doing a very kind of, not quite, it's a serious book. It's not propaganda, but it's called The Krishna Kid. It's just retelling the stories about Krishna in kind of a very cinematic type way. So very interesting. Kind of like what Prince of Egypt is, to Christianity. This is what this would be to Krishna. So that's what it is. So we're celebrating his win. He's, running the victory lap right now. So we were able to get him funded. So he had a great turnout. And look, she's, sharing. I got a little bit of animation clip from Pedro Ang today. We got some cool things going. But where is that? See, she's been so much going on here. But let's find that tweet. The account is either deleted or blocked. I can't see that one. Let's see if we can drill down. Oh, that's somebody else. Somebody else being a jerk on the internet. Here we go. This guy. Funny how quiet, whatever. So this guy does his thing. Again, just like this quote tweeting. Go tell uncle, frog liquor, and then gets like real hot pants and things like that. Just gets real negative and nasty. And it just keeps going after these people, and he's anti-Christian Murphy or whatever. And this is just one of a handful of people that have been harassing women in comics that are connected to CG. One of the people that has been doing it is a guy named Mark Brooks. It was figured out that he was doing it, because it was his name. It was him doing it. He was going after Shelley. He went after EVS's wife. And he tried to go after Malin's wife, but it was a fake account. It actually was like Malin's fake wife or something like that. So it was funny. But picking fights in these people. And so this is the tactics, okay, of this. This is where this is why I started the way I did and why I'm ending the way I am now. Because these two things, I think, they go hand in hand. And it's why people are leaving the Democratic Party. I think it's why people are leaving that ideology. Because they realize that it's not the bill of goods that they were sold. It's not what they thought it was. And the stories are so crazy and it's so ridiculous that there's no way that it could be true. And then you start realizing that it is true. That they are out of it. And this is just two of the women. I've watched Charlie's London get attacked in the last week. I've watched Renee Draws get attacked in the last week. And I'm missing some people. I know I am. I know I'm missing some of the people that are getting attacked. Yes, fake wife, yeah. Yeah, fake wife. It was Malin's fake wife. And yes, super funny that he went after a fake account like that. And yeah, so it's not just me that's seeing that, right? Like you guys see it too. All these CG women are being targeted. That they've sold this bill of goods for so long. Like, oh, we're the good guys and they're the bad guys. They're the harassers. They're the ones that go after people. But Aaron Lopresti doesn't work at Marvel anymore because he's a conservative. It's not because he was a jerk. Aaron Lopresti is like the last person that anyone would say is a jerk. Like, just these people are so that when you're seeing these people leave Hollywood, you're seeing these people leave the Democratic Party, it's because they're starting to realize that what they thought was the case is not the case at all. That it's really jacked up. And that all these tactics that have been projected on conservatives or the other side of the aisle, they're starting to realize that those have really been the tactics of these radicals the whole time. And that, they've been doing these things and then saying, hey, look at them over there doing these things. It's classic projection. And, I mean, these women, literally, they've done nothing but promote their husbands and their own work. In Shelley's case, her husband, and celebrate her kids' success, and promote other creators that are out there trying to make a living for their family, that they're trying to do what they love. They've got passion about it, and they just want to make comics and provide for their families. And these people want to come after them. Maybe they're coming after them because of the money they're making. Maybe they're upset that there's money out there to be made, and they're not seeing any of it. I don't know what their reasoning is, but that's why I came on and I just wanted to rant about it. So there's an hour and a half rant about these Dems leaving, based on things that I said for the last couple of years, that it's starting to really, you're starting to see it. But that everything you're seeing in comics is because of this crap, right? Like, it happened before, and that's where Comicsgate and Gamergate all came from. And we've seen that before. But now it's like the last effort of a dying animal, I think. I started with that, too. I think we're seeing the last effort of a dying animal. I think they see that they're losing. I think they're seeing they're losing reasonable people. There's a lot of reasonable people that are starting to notice that, hey, this isn't right. They're starting to say, look, I know a lot of these Comicsgate folks, and they're not what everyone says they are. I think people are going to start seeing what I saw 2 years ago. They're going to start noticing that. See, last year when I got sick, I had some close friends that cared, and they prayed, and they did what they could. They weren't necessarily in a place financially to help. I'm not talking about you guys. I see you. I love you. But there were people that tried to capitalize on the fact I was sick to sell a book. There were people that didn't say a word to me or my family. Didn't offer any kind of words of kindness in the midst of all of that turmoil that my wife and kids were going through, that were moderate or left. The exception of, and again, like I said, there's a couple of you, and you know who you are. Nick Tocker's the top of the list of people that were good. He was good. A couple other ones were really good too. But most of, if not all of the love came from Comicsgate affiliated folks that my wife didn't even know. They just started supporting her, started loving on, started, sending messages and things like that. And even in the process of coming out of this, it was Comicsgate folks that really rallied around and supported, and have continued to do so. The evidence is overwhelming. I think people are starting to see the evidence is overwhelming that if you're not part of the hive mind, that if you don't fall in lockstep with the way of thinking that's out there, then you are a problem. And any tactic possible is fair game because you're the enemy. That's what we're seeing with these ladies. They're not going after the guys. And they're not coming up, they're not, pulling a Mark Brooks and saying, meet me out back at Comic-Con to these guys, because quite honestly, some of the guys I know would do it. Anthony, I'm talking about you. Dark Gift, I'm talking about you. If you invite Anthony out back at a convention, he will be sure to get to that convention for you. He'd be more than happy, I think, to open a can for you. But they're going after the women. They're going after the women in comics, and they are just attacking them and relentlessly attacking them. They are doing this shadow ban thing, or not shadow ban. It's a block ban or whatever, where they They will say something, give you just enough time to read it, and then block you before you can comment or before you can report them. And so that they can't get banned for breaking terms of service, the community standards. I've never seen it like this before, and I just told, like I said, I told my wife. Just yesterday, I said, I'm really glad you're not on Twitter, because I see this happening to the women that are associated with artists and that are associated with the comics, and that these people are just going after them, and it's ridiculous that it's happening. Not a blockchain. Blockchains like that. Blockchains is where like a bunch of people get blocked, I think, is how that works. But no, they're avoiding being banned or being reported by blocking you before you have a chance to do it. And then they will unblock you and quote tweet you, or they usually do like a quote tweet or comment, and then block you again. So, and again, they're not going after the guys, because the guys are stepping in there, and as you saw in some of those tweets, they're stepping in and they're saying, "Hey, you need to shut up. You're being stupid," and they're getting blocked. And we know a few names of the people that are behind it too. Like we're learning that like Matt Six Bar, I think that's his name, or maybe it's Matt Bar Six. I think it's Matt Six Bar. Matt Barr. It's Matt Barr. Someone's been going after him for a couple of days now too, and so he's, it's one of those things where you just got to deal with it. Like when you start getting some notoriety with comics, you're selling enough. Once you start hitting a certain dollar amount, people that are butthurt about it, they start coming out of the woodwork, giving you a hard time. But what they're doing is they're going after the ladies, and they're being very inappropriate with their attacks too. So Blue Samurai says, yeah, we're accustomed to pushing for their way and have conservatives fall over for them. When we stop falling over, they instinction burst, throw tantrums like targeting the women. Yeah, that's basically what happens. Hail indie wrestling aces. It's good to have you here. World of Conan, it's nice to have you here. Yeah, harassing people is nasty. They have hatred in their hearts and emptiness, lashing out. By the way, hail tall. Very good to have you here. Marsupial's 5 minutes behind, catching up. Thanks. Yep. Have fun catching up with that. I've ranted a lot, so Matt Barr. Maybe I'm saying his name wrong. But here's what I do want to do. I want to finish watching
Opens
this.
wide this Friday.
Let's talk about. Let's go ahead, since we took all of his words. He's doing a new movie, and let's just look at the movie real quick for a second to promote it. Maybe check it out, guys. Check it out. And while he's at it, he kind of outs some other conservatives in Hollywood right now. So let's listen up for some of those names.
Called Daddy-Daughter Trip. Your actual daughter is playing your seatmate in the front seat of a car.
Yeah. She, well, first of all, we started trying to make the movie years ago. And by the time we were getting closer, my daughter was about, old enough to play the part. She started looking over and she said, well, who's going to play that role? We were writing, my wife and I, Patricia. And she said, well, you're getting close to the age. And so she started coming up with it. And then she was great. I didn't have to give her notes. She's basically like my daughter, Elle. They grew up in the business and they're like stage rats.
So Elle is Elle King, the singer, who's got a tremendous voice, by the way. I'm surprised that it's Rob's daughter, by the way. When I found out, I was like, that's not Rob Schneider's daughter. But yeah, it is.
Right. Yeah, we just saw it.
And Ella's doing so well.
Thank
Ella's
you.
nominated for a Grammy. Her music is beautiful. Elle
Thank
King.
you. She's doing really great. She's opening for Chris Stapleton all over.
Right, so you don't have to work anymore. You can live off her.
She tells me that. She tells me that. Dad, I got your retirement figured out, Dad.
Right.
If you need to go into a home, I got it set.
Well, I assume that's good impression. We don't know. We haven't seen it off camera. So who plays your wife in this movie?
You're welcome, Joe. Thanks for watching. I know we don't agree a lot on things, but I feel we have mutual respect. And yeah, I just want to share like what's happening, because it's ugly and it's disgusting, and we shouldn't allow that to happen. Here's the thing: if somebody in Comicsgate starts acting that way, and I know them, I'm disowning what they do. I'm telling them, look, you got to stop acting this way. You can't do that. We don't go after that. That's, we're putting a stop to that kind of stuff. But everyone that I know and I work with, they're such people of character and just quality human beings. Whether they're, and I'm not talking even about the Christian ones, I'm talking about all of them. I don't share the same faith with all of them. In fact, with most of them, my faith is pretty limited to just a few people that I know in the industry. But you're welcome. I want people to know that this is all kind of happening this way.
Movie.
Jackie Sandler.
And is she related too?
She's related to Adam Sandler.
Right.
All right, so he just talked about the group of people that he does with. And if you wonder why I'm pausing so much, because it's called an EFAP, every frame a pause. And if you let too long play, you'll get struck. This has to have a lot of pauses in it. So I won't just play this all the way through like that. So he mentioned that, the people that he hangs out with are conservative and they just don't talk about it much because, of being, that just kind of that mindset that the way it is approached in Hollywood. So the Sandlers, and I think someone had mentioned earlier that Adam Sandler is a Republican. I did not know that. So there are some names.
Great has
She's
done the
great.
impossible. There's a sense of family with the Adam Sandler and the Rob Schneider movies.
It's good.
Right?
There's a sense of comfort. First of all, when you're shooting something, you have to be comfortable with the person. And so, when you've spent so much time with these people, we just start rolling and shooting. And I played her wife in Home Team, with Kevin James, who's another family member.
So Kevin James, another family member. So there's another conservative in the industry that that's there. I've always found these people funny and very reasonable. So I'm happy to keep supporting them and doing the things that I can to support them, especially after seeing some of the comments from the actress of She-Hulk as of late, that plays Titania. Just some of her responses and her disgust for a particular section of the fan base. And just that whole show's viewpoint when it comes to who the bad guys are, and in terms of making the internet trolls the bad guys, and kind of what they've done with the show, and that any criticism to that show is just negative. You're like, oh, you hate women, or you hate that. I'm like, no, maybe you just wrote a bad show.
Funny.
We have a lot of fun together. We try not to let the political whatever differences. The love of countries comes up first and foremost. We love this place. We want to continue and expand its freedoms and continue them for our kids. We care about them.
Rob, is it harder to do a comedy though?
Okay, so yeah, let's bring that up for a second. That's really what we want to do, right? I love my country. I love America. I've always been very fiercely patriotic. God is first for me. God is always first. And I don't believe that love of country and love of God can always mix, but I also don't believe they contradict one another. But we do want to leave a better place. I want to leave a better place for my kids, and I worry about what is over the horizon for them. And so I totally agree with that. And I think that is all of that used to be a very reasonable thing to say. God, family, country. And that we wanted to leave a better country for our kids. And that's why we get involved on the political stage. That's why I make statements like I'm doing tonight about the mess with politics making its way into the entertainment industry.
Given, the political correctness and limits?
Yes, it is. That's why it's like, first of all, this is the first movie that my kids could watch. All the other movies back in the 90s. Right. It is tougher now because you have people who will cling to a word or this or that, and the idea is like you got to put it out there into what makes you laugh, and hopefully
Rob,
that's
we
enough.
miss you on SNL. You were so good. That was.
Yeah, so people will cling to a word. They will redefine words. In fact, we joked about that I joked about that with Nick earlier, that it's even the word e-fapping used to mean something else, something kind of dirty, but it doesn't mean that anymore. But people will cling on to a word and you can't say that word anymore. You know, this word that used to mean one thing now means something else. And we did that with the rainbow. You know, the rainbow used to be a sign of hope and a promise, and now it's, you know, a sign of homosexuality, and you know, now it means that. So, you know, if you wear that you're gay, or you support, you know, homosexuality and those kind of things. We'll do that. We've redefined words. We've taken words that used to mean one thing and try to make it something else now, and it gets frustrating, and it gets old, and it makes it difficult. And right now, people don't know how to take a joke. They don't know how to take a joke, especially the militant radical left. They have no idea how to take a joke. I love stand-up comedy. I found out that on my XM radio, I can turn on like stand-up bits. That's all it is. 24 hours a day, it plays stand-up bits. And there was some of them on there that I'm like, this isn't funny. Like, that was not funny at all. It was woke. I hate to even use that term, but it was like some of this like woke jargon stuff. And now you're getting to the point to where the words that they used to embrace, SJW and woke, they don't want to even embrace those words anymore, because people are starting to realize what they mean. And once they've realized, you know, like, no, like, you say it means this, but it means something else. Once you finally realize that that's not what it means, then they change the term. They give it a new term. Like, political correctness was one thing for a while. Like, what we thought it was one thing, and clearly it meant something else. And once we realized that political correctness was actually kind of wrong, it got redefined as social justice. And now they realize that we're onto them. And now they're wanting to change that now. And yeah, so it's kind of funny that, you know, you mentioned that they cling on to a word. And so you got to find out what makes you laugh. And so that's kind of where I'm at with comics. Like, you got to read what makes you happy. Like, what interests you in comics. I don't read the big two anymore, guys. I don't. I'm not complaining about them anymore, because I'm not giving them any more money. I'm not giving them any more of my focus. They don't get to live in my head rent free. You know, that space is reserved for my universes. I buy indie comic books now. That's what I buy. I buy exclusively indie comics. If there is a major studio behind it, then I don't normally even give it a look. I want creator-owned content. I want stuff that is owned by the person that wrote it. I just heard Phoenix Animation talk about One Piece, and he's basically simped on the guy that wrote One Piece. Said he's the greatest storyteller of our generation. And I'm like, okay, well, that's a big claim. But he said one thing. He was like, they're up to chapter 1,000 or whatever. They're really high up there. And he says, but it's one guy that runs the whole thing. And I think that's the thing. You know, if you've got one guy that's a story runner that's telling the whole universe. I mean, even if he has somebody else that comes along and helps write an issue or an episode, it's him that's telling the story. At the end of the day, you know, that he's like, this is where I want it to go. He's kind of creating the arc of it all. I want to read from that guy and that gal. I want to read what they've got. I don't want to read more Batman and more Superman. Because what I'm seeing right now, anyway, is just subpar fanfic. At best, subpar fanfic. At worst, propaganda. Ideological propaganda. Maybe even with a splash of occult. But I don't want to give them any of my money. I don't want to complain about them anymore. They don't get any of my time. What I'm complaining about is the fact that we've got a political system in our country that has gotten radicalized, and it has turned into they've started using the media and entertainment outlets as propaganda wings, and the people that are in those industries are starting to realize that, and they're starting to depart. And comics departed a while ago, and so you've got to find what interests you. You got to find what is gonna excite you for the next book and the next chapter. You've got to do that, and I like to talk about those kind of books. And so a couple of those books that I would like to talk about is, well, first off, I think Krishna Kid is a good offering. Frog G's book is going to be a really good one. Let me see if I can pull up some of these. I don't know that I don't even know if I'm prepared to do that. I hadn't planned on doing that. I should have planned on doing that. It's just me being stupid. You know what? I'll just share this because Piper's already shared a lot of them. So let's go over here. You've got Wolfsbane Comics shared this one. It's Nagolo on Kickstarter. So there's one to check out. Just go look up the buy one back one hashtag, and you're gonna notice a lot of these. Okay, Scarlet Versus issue 2 is out, coming out. Space Pussycat. I always love a good anthropomorphic, not furry. There's a difference. Riff Riders, Krishna Kid, Frog G's got one out. We've got House of the Dreams. Let's just search for hashtag buy one back one. There it is. Yeah, search the hashtag buy one back one. You're going to notice a lot of different ones. Six Gun Gorilla is a great book by Brian. That's funding right now on Zoop. So go to zoop.gg to check that one out. That is breaking away from the two main crowdfunding platforms, because we kind of have to, guys. We kind of have to these days. And then, yeah, there's Krishna Kid, which just has a couple more days left. Smokes the Fox is trying to gain a little more ground. We've got Nagolo, Scarlet Versus. Projectile Reptile is in demand right now. And the buy one back one. Check them out. Epic Bundle. You can see the people that are using this hashtag. We're trying to get it to catch on. Rocket on Indiegogo. Buy one back one. So yeah, check out the hashtag, and be sure to look at some of these campaigns that are maybe they're less than 10K, and then check out Wraith of God by Aaron Lopresti. Absolutely amazing book. Check out Graham Nolan's new book. Very interesting. And Fiendish 2 is funding right now, which is also looks very cool. I know maybe some people may have checked out. I know Blue checked out issue 1. Wasn't totally sold on it, but it is what it is. But yeah, check those out. Find some books that are there's a lot of good content out there, so you can still read comics without having to give money to the big two, people that don't want your money. It was like, because it's like they're trying to cancel comedians. They really kind of are. I watched a lot of Dave Chappelle stand up, and you also watched Bill Cosby, which probably, yeah. The term Christian was a slur. We adopted it, and it stopped being a slur. They do this in reverse, giving themselves a name that becomes a slur. Yes, that's what happens. Yeah, we take on slurs like deplorable. They try to give us a slur and then we take it as our own. That's where Comicsgate came from. They called them Gamergate, you know, and they called them Comicsgate. That was that side giving the consumer that title, and they just owned it. They just said, yeah, okay, that's what we are. And they made it a thing. But they do it in reverse. They'll take a name and then they taint it. They squander it. And yes, big tech and big banks are working with the mainstream media, which is why you've got things like Zoop, and people are starting to stream on different platforms now other than YouTube. I'm going to start doing a lot less on what is that? Facebook. Like, I'm on Facebook now, but I'm probably not going to stay there very long. Like, I mean, as early as next week, I'll probably stop streaming to Facebook, just because it's not working very well over there, and I don't care for it. They're freaking out because they thought they had converged comics. But then indie slipped past their control. They really did. You can't keep a good indie down. I can't back Krishna Kid by being a clown. Mark promotes communism, making the utopia seem friendly, while the clown act covers for his real beliefs. Plus, he's a pothead war. Okay. Yeah. I know a few, but his passion for the book comes through in his conversation for it, so yeah. Hardly use Facebook. Yeah, sync to your Rumble. I haven't started using Rumble yet, but I think I'm going to start moving over there just because. Because I think it's time. I think it's getting to be that way. You know, Brian Christgau. I always get his name wrong, but yeah. But you know it. Yeah, he is Six Gun Gorilla. Very cool book. So yeah, check that stuff out, guys. Man, you guys have really been sticking around with me. And I've just been sitting here rambling and talking, complaining. I haven't even been drawing or anything like that to keep a crowd, but thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out with me. Be sure to check out those great books. Hashtag buy one, back one. We're even putting the hashtag buy one, back one on campaigns that we like, that we've bought. That is the buy one for us. So we're checking those out too. We're really liking those things. Check out that hashtag. We're trying to make it a thing. I'm so chill, and it's an important topic. Yeah, I try to be. I just can't suffer tomfoolery anymore. Going after women that are minding their own business really upsets me. You know, they're targeting these women. That's the only way to put it. And we used to be like, oh, that's what they want to say about the Comicsgate people. They said that they targeted women. I have not, at least in my time of being a part of that community, have I seen one targeted attack on anybody, especially women. I've seen attacks on people, but they've not been targeted. There has been targeted attacks on people since the days of War Campaign. War Campaign got booted out and targeted attacks left. It is what it is. So, that's how it is. That smooth voice. Yeah. It's ASMR. Some ASMR value to it. Speaking of my smooth voice, my voice is killing me now. I've talked for a long time. I'm going to get off here. I think I'll leave you guys with a video. What kind of video do you guys want? Do you want, I got a lot of funny ones. Let me, you know what? I haven't shared this one in a while. Let me see if I can find it. Now, you know what I gotta do? I gotta do the Biden video that just came out. Here you guys go. I'm gonna play this, and you guys have a good night. Yeah, Marsupial will say this right. All we do is rightly criticize poor quality, or whenever they attack fans. Yeah, that is usually our gripe. Luke, you went after one, but then you found the one and only for you. Yes, I did. I did go after one in a decent way. Tomfoolery, shenanigans, ballyhoo. Luke was really angry. I am very angry using that kind of language, Chuck. You know me. I'm using those naughty words tonight, dude. I really am. No, not the preacher song. Not the preacher song. Here you guys go. Check this out. Let me do this. Here you go.
What's the song that is played where everybody is on the chair, everybody at going to my mind's going blank now. What's happening? What, I can't remember. I'm gonna lose track. My mind's going blank now. What are you talking about? What the hell's going on here? Where the hell are we? My mind's going blank now. I can't remember. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. What am I doing here? My mind's going blank now. Where am I headed? I keep forgetting I'm president. Where am I? No idea. Last night on the television, I was on a telephone rapidly rising and with I don't know. COVID has taken more than 100 years. Look, here's lives reflected in the NHEI. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him in the we're going to seize the ill-begotten gains of Putin's kleptocracy. Yeah. NATO's purpose is to defend against aggression. Let me make that near and dear to you that you like to be able to. Anyway. My mind's going blank now. What's happening? What, I can't remember. I'm gonna lose track. My mind's going blank now. What are you talking about? What the hell's going on here? Where the hell are we? My mind's going blank now. I can't remember. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. What am I doing here? My mind's going blank now. Where am I headed? I keep forgetting I'm president. Where am I? No idea. I don't think as the idea that the political coverage of I want to thank and recognize Dr. John Kingersong. Song. I can't get this to function at all. My mind's going blank now. What's happening? What, I can't remember. I'm gonna lose track. My mind's going blank now. What are you talking about? What the hell's going on here? Where the hell are we? My mind's going blank now. I can't remember. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. What am I doing here? My mind's going blank now. Where am I headed? I keep forgetting I'm president. Where am I? No idea.